Lately, I've been having this recurring dream. I'm the head of a giant multinational corporation. The CEO, I think. We're in the midst of a very big leveraged buyout of a baby food manufacturer. Money has been raised in the usual fashion for these transactions, through the issue of junk bonds and other highly speculative notes. Our financial advisors, the esteemed Wall Street firm of Quigley, Underwood, Isher, and Maladroit, are extremely nervous about our potential exposure and are telling me as much. Sir Stephen, I appear to have been knighted. We are extremely nervous about our potential exposure. Unfortunately, having just entered the dream, I haven't the foggiest notion of what they're on about, and to make matters worse, I've got to take a piss so bad I can almost taste it. Mr. Maladroit begins a long dissertation on our various downside options. At the marginal rate, assuming post-mature capitalization of the D-index principal, the net present velocity compounded semi-annually, on the other hand, I cross my legs in the absurd belief that this maneuver will aid my now bursting bladder. It only increases the agony. I'm beginning to perspire. A heaviness has seized my chest while my eyes dart anxiously about the room. Oblivious to my acutely agitated state, Maladroit and company launch into a protracted debate on a preferred course of action. Their fat financial phrases weigh heavily upon my beleaguered organ, which is sending urgent messages for my brain to get my dick out of my pants. All of a whirring sudden, two bronzed and heavily muscled female wrestlers come crashing through the panel oak doors and proceed to bludgeon each other senseless before the horrified and totally dumbstruck ensemble. I seize this timely interruption to slip discreetly from the room. A parting glance catches Maladroit in full flight, having been snatched up and flung willy-nilly into the ever-expanding fray. I walk briskly down the green marble corridors and insert my key into the black lacquered door of the executive washroom. Upon entering, I'm struck by the size of the crowd gathered inside and the cigarette smoke, which hangs in a bluish haze about a third of the way down from the ceiling. Feeling slightly intimidated, I make for a stall, but when I reach it, there are no dividers or even a door for that matter, just a cracked, yellowed toilet bowl in the middle of the floor. A stillness has descended upon the room, and I feel 1,000 eyes penetrating my privacy. I slowly unzip my fly and fiddle with my underwear, but to my absolute horror, I'm unable to locate my schlong. What the fuck? I hiss under my breath as I frantically grope about the recesses of my plaid boxer shorts. I finally come up with something the size of a small acorn, which, after some 10 minutes of pure mortification, discharges a single insipid drop. Of course, everyone else is waving around rogue elephant trunks and pissing buckets. Suddenly, Danny Sage, a Slovenian cocktail pianist with whom I gigged with in the 80s, bursts in exclaiming, "Quick, Steve! Man, you gotta help me! Oh man, my accordion!" "Yeah, your accordion? What's wrong? Somebody steal it? I hope." No! No, it's not that. It just won't." "Just won't what?" I inquire rather peevishly. And then he breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably. I make a rather feeble, consoling gesture, but he's too distraught to notice. One of the gathered throng steps forward and drapes a red velvet cape over his gently heaving shoulders. Ever so slowly, he is led away in a mock rendition of James Brown's "Please, Please, Please." I'm baffled by his appearance. And what's the deal with the fucking accordion? Geez, I think to myself, I better get back to the boardroom. Then I remember the tag team twins, and discretion being the better part of valor and all, I head off in the opposite direction. Except now I'm at a gig in a rather dimly lit club in the basement of an older building. I can't recall if I have actually played here or dreamt I have played here. I mean, in 25-odd years of performing in hundreds of different bars and clubs. I don't know if this is an actual one or some amalgam of several. Nonetheless, the place is happening. There's a frenetic energy that's palpable. Everyone appears to be caught up in it. I skirt several animated conversations, moving in a lazy, but apparently determined fashion to a gaily lit banquette, the primary attraction of which is a robust blonde. I can't tell if this is a person I have actually met and had social intercourse with, or if this is someone I have previously dreamt about and had subsequent dreams of. Or is this an amalgam of individuals I have actually met or previously dreamed of meeting? My head begins to throb from these Kafkaesque cogitations. "Stevie, it's great to see you," she exclaims, eyes sparkling. Stevie, I think. Nobody ever calls me that. Yeah, great to see you too. Whoever the hell you are. My mind races, trying to recall a name, any name. Her energy and enthusiasm are infectious, and I break into a broad smile. I feel invigorated and virile, small acorn notwithstanding. "Did you bring it?" she inquires, clasping my hands and leaning closer. Of course," I return, with only the slightest hesitation, adding, "It's in the car." Her exquisite features are suddenly contorted by a look of absolute horror. "Kidding, just kidding, honest. It's safe as houses," I blurt out. "Oh, Stevie, don't fool around like that again, ever," she says, her hand to her heart. But then her angelic face brightens, and she draws me to her, parting my lips with a moist, probing tongue. Suddenly, the smallish acorn is turning into a sturdy oak branch. She reaches under the table and begins to massage my crotch with her foot, all the while giggling and carrying on with an air of absolute nonchalance. I am on the verge of orgasm when a waiter intervenes. "Sir Stephen, an urgent call for you." Impeccable timing, dog breath. Take a goddamn message or something. Anything. But the sensual spell has been broken, and with a heavy heart, and hard, and a stooping gait, I make for the phone. I feel like a cross between Groucho Marx and Quasimodo as I sidle up to the bar and pick up the receiver. "Sir Stephen, bad news on the negotiation. It's maladroit, obviously recovered from the skydiving incident." He continues, "The World Wrestling Federation have entered the melee, so to speak. They're challenging you to a tag team wrestling match. Winner takes the baby food conglomerate with an option on the associated real estate portfolio, as well as overseas rights to the biodegradable condom market." I'm so incredulous I can hardly speak. What on God's green earth are you fucking ranting about? I'm a business mogul, not a mincing, muscle-bound moron in a bad Halloween getup. Is this some sort of joke? Or have you taken total leave of your senses, such as they are? I'm awfully sorry, Sir Stephen. Those are the best terms we can negotiate at the present time. You're fired, you limp-dick, lily-livered, lard-ass, liposuctioning loser, I bellow, slamming down the receiver, and in so doing, jarring myself right out of the club and into another dream. I'm back in my old high school, on my way to an afternoon sock hop. I'm not sure of the genesis of the term sock hop, or of its continued usage into the 60s, when it was clearly a relic from the 50s. I suppose it may have stemmed from the fact that the vast majority of female attendees would usually cast their heeled shoes aside so as to allow for enhanced mobility, or on the other hand, avoid serious ankle injury, what with all the pivoting, kicking, and general flailing of limb that went on. Then again, there's the proverbial crabby janitor theory. No street shoes in the gym, they mark up the hardwood. How many times did we hear that shit? The lights are dimmed, and the drapes drawn across the bank of south-facing windows. Aided by the cloudy afternoon, the dance committee has succeeded in creating the desired dusky atmosphere, all the better to obscure ravaged complexions and stray lips. Crudely lettered posters festoon the drab-green halls, which now funnel the anxious, excited hordes in knots of 4s and 5s towards libido heaven. There's the usual bottleneck at the admission table, a case of nervous fingers or faulty arithmetic. "I thought I gave you 2 quarters. "No, one was a nickel." Where? Let's see it." "Well, it's in the nickel tray now. I know a nickel when I see one." Maybe you put it in with the quarters, by mistake." "I don't make mistakes. That's another 20 cents. "Hey, neither do I." behind the fracas. The natives grow impatient. Quit being a cheapskate, Mills, and cough up the dough. Yeah, negotiate a loan some other time. You're holding up the line. From further back still. Geez, I gotta be at work in an hour. Let's get the show on the road. Have some legs up there. Hustle it up, buddy. Mills turns at this last comment and gestures to his crotch. Hustle this up. Whoa, tough talk. Maybe you'd like to back up your mouth with a little muscle. Maybe you'd like to suck shit through a straw. And with this parting volley, Mills quickly vanishes into the maw of the dance. Billy Poolboy Mills, from my infamous grade 11 class. If he's still alive today, it will only be through the convergence of luck, kismet, good fortune, horseshoes, and divine intervention. The heavy velvet curtains are drawn ponderously back. A loud and discordant note sounds from somewhere on the vast stage. Larry J. Universe and the Galaxies are upon us with a vengeance. 6 greasy delinquents in black leather and winkle pickers, and one total fucking goof attired in a white prefect's cardigan, baggy dress pants, and loafers, the latter being none other than Larry J. himself. He is off on the side of the stage, although not quite far enough for my liking, pounding for all he is worth, which is precious little, on the school's old upright, an instrument of dubious provenance dating back to biblical times. Of course, all this exaggerated pounding is going for absolutely naught, on account of the fact that the goddamn thing isn't mic'd. I guess I should count my blessings. Instead of signaling to the band, in the universal language of instructal flail, to turn up, which they do, often, with or without reason or provocation, until the volume approximates that of an unmuffled Learjet engine at full throttle. The instrumentation of the band is intriguing, to say the least. In addition to Larry J. on silent piano, there are 3 rhythm guitarists, none of whom appear to have any, a bass guitarist, a drummer who was single-handedly trying to cause Toronto to break away from the mainland and slump into Lake Ontario, and finally, a tambourinist, backup vocalist, whose most redeeming feature is slightly less acne than anyone else in the band. The first set twangs on interminably, mostly Ventures and Shadows instrumentals, punctuated with the occasional insipid vocal tune. The finale is a phenomenally bad rendition of a Beatles number. To compensate for the absolute lack of musicality on this particular song, the volume is taken through the stratosphere, resulting in an expanded auditory range for all within earshot, which at this juncture includes most of southern Ontario. To a smattering of applause, they saunter from the stage and out into the parking lot, probably for a smoke. Maybe we should tune up next set, one of the guitarists says as he passes by. Maybe you should just gouge out your eyes and set your heads on fire. It would be a lot more entertaining. It's Mills, mouthing off again. But for whatever reason, they seem to think it's me. What are you, a music critic or something? Barks one of the bigger, greasier galaxies. You're fucking right, and you guys suck the big wet one shit for brains. Mills must be a ventriloquist. They're still looking in my direction and getting madder by the second. Hey, you stunned cunt, you can't say that to us. We're the #1 band in this town, and woof! Suddenly, a can of Coke comes out of nowhere and smacks the guy right in the yap. This is my cue to exit stage left and depart the surly sock hop before Mills gets me into any more trouble. I make my way through the agitated mass and venture outside. The cold air is refreshing, and the stars shine like diamonds in the dark night. Couples wander arm in arm across the silent gridiron, anxiously anticipating the evening's first embrace. The faint strains of a Roy Orbison tune waft through the cosmos. This is surely a perfect moment in time. I'm energized and electric, yin and yang, in perfect harmony with all around me. Hey, Shock, take it inside, will ya? We're trying to get some privacy here. Be a good guy, eh? What do you say, eh? My hyper-ecstatic state is arrested in mid-trajectory. Earthward it plummets, with a dull yet heavy thud upon re-entry. Oh, sure, yeah, okay, sorry. I make my way back towards the gym, but upon arrival I can't locate the door. The old red brick building has taken on castle-like proportions. The battlements loom ominously overhead. In the distance, I'm sure I can hear the guard song from The Wizard of Oz. A low, studded door appears just ahead. It's slightly ajar, and I enter into a long stone passageway. My footsteps echo in the gloom. Another low entryway comes into view. Stooping to clear the rough-hewn lintel, I gain access to a very large, sparsely furnished room. In the corner, on a battered wooden table, sits a very ornate and obviously very expensive accordion. Could this be the lost instrument of which Danny spoke so lovingly? If such a thing is possible with something so cheesy. I'm so glad we finally made a connection. I start at the sound of the voice and glance furtively about the dim room, but I'm all alone. Here on the table, I've been expecting you. I stare incredulously at the talking accordion. Don't be alarmed. We must travel incognito to keep the agents from the interzone off the scent. The accordion is speaking by means of an anal-like orifice located in the center of the bellows, which expand and contract in a rhythmical fashion, shades of naked lunch. How do you know who I am, I query, playing for time while I look for something heavy to whack this thing with. We've had our eye on you for some time now. It was just a matter of arranging a suitable rendezvous. But this is a dream, for Christ's sake, and a pretty lousy one at that. Why don't you do something useful and get me back to that club with the blonde? Oh, and by the way, Danny the mad Slovenian sage is looking for you. Please, never mention his name. My cord buttons are still aching from that yutz. A totally unsuitable medium, brain pan too small, and way too much testosterone. Just then, the door bursts open, and in flies Maladwat, with the blonde from the club in tow. Finally, things are starting to look up. Ah! Agents from the interzone, shrieks the talking accordion. Quick! Pick me up and play the She's Too Fat polka in E-flat. It'll immobilize them while we get away. Don't touch that accordion, Sir Stephen, or you're a dead man, sneers Maladwat. Do as he says, Stevie. It's not worth it, coos the blonde. At that precise moment, the door literally flies off its hinges as two enormous graduates of Steroid U burst into the ever-diminishing space. Ah! It's the World Wrestling Federation, come to do battle for the baby food conglomerate, I shriek, jumping behind the table. No sooner have I assumed the coward's crouch, when you guessed it, the door bursts open yet again. It's Larry J. Universe and his hapless galaxies. All 6 galaxies, count 'em. Hey! You're the bastard who lipped off to us. Let's get him. It's standing room only. This is too fucking bizarre for words. She's too fat polka. She's too fat polka, bellows the accordion. I've got nothing to lose, so I lunge for the accordion and break into the She's Too Fat polka mid-stride. Only one problem. I'm playing it in F sharp. Before I realize my mistake, the thing is ripped from my hands and I am about to be beaten to a pulp when the door bursts open one more time. It's Mr. Lilly, my ultra-prissy grade 9 guidance teacher. That's office detentions for everyone. I've never heard such a ruckus. And what are you two doing with your shirts off? That's worth a week of detentions in my book. I figure Lilly has just signed his own death warrant, but amazingly, the Bicep brothers, along with the rest of the crew, shuffle very sheepishly from the room. Shawcross, can't you stay out of trouble for 2 minutes? Intones Lilly, rather peevishly. Hey! I'm an honor student, for Christ's sakes. I mean, was an honor student. It's a bare 76, Shawcross, a bare 76. With that, he pirouettes out of the room, closing the door behind him. I'm left all alone as the footsteps recede down the long hallway. A stillness washes over me as I recall the people and places I have encountered in my life. Each and every moment rushes back to crash along the shores of my memory. Sights and sounds swirl in a maelstrom of emotions. Ah, and the pungent aromas borne on salt-scarred sea breezes mount a final assault on my senses. My feelings well up inside me, and I finally break down, sobbing on the cold floor. Time is a robber in the night. He steals childhood and adolescence, youth and vitality. He renders vanity obsolete. He erodes with a steady drip our mark upon the rock. He taketh away all that we are and have ever been. He is interminable. I pick myself up and stagger out into the early dawn. A new day is breaking. The sun's pale rays cast long shadows over the red shale track and playing field, where on May 5th, 1966, I took first in the 220 and 440-yard dashes. It was quite windy that day. Somebody took a picture of me crossing the finish line with my hair sticking out about a mile. Apparently, the school principal turned on his heel and immediately left the area, muttering to himself about long hair and the demise of Western civilization as we know it. By my reckoning, the real race is about half over. I pray for clear vision and steady footing over the rest of the course, and with that, I head off into the emerging sunlight.